Hello, hello. Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Okay. Okay, let's do this. In this stream, I'm gonna learn new vocabulary by reading some text. In first 10 or 10 to 20 minutes, I'm gonna just review the words that I learned in the previous streams. And next 40 or 50 minutes, I'm gonna learn new words. Okay, let's do this. First, let's review the words. Let's go. Dispensable. 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 Dispensable means like not something that is not necessary or something easy to trash. Dispensable. More than you need and therefore not necessary, that can be gotten rid of. I realized most of the items in my closet are dispensable. More than you need and therefore not necessary. A little bit different from what I said, so hard. Significant. Significant is like very notable, or like very important, or a big difference. Significant change, you can say. It's like very different, important, or noticeable. You made a significant contribution to the creation of this book. Okay. Procession. Procession. Procession means procession. Procession. What was that? I forgot. Procession, a line of people who are all walking or traveling in the same direction, especially in a formal way as part of a religious ceremony or public celebration. Okay. Customary. 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 So something like custom related words. Customary. Usually, or like habit. Usually, but more focused on adherence to established customs or traditions. It's customary for Americans to shake hands when they meet someone. Kinda correct, usually. Customary, but more like customs. I think it's good. Make a spectacle of oneself means do something stupid to get attention. So you can say, she made a spectacle of herself by screaming, or by making a weird noise. Something like that. She made a spectacle of herself by screaming at the waiters. Constituent. 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 Ooh, I forgot. Constituent. One of the parts that a substance or combination is made of. Caffeine is the main constituent of drinks such as tea and coffee. One of the parts that our substance or combination is made of. One of the parts. Okay. Vandalism. Vandalism means illegal, like damaging someone's property, like drawing graffiti on someone's wall is a vandalism. The crime of intentionally damaging property belonging to other people. We had a problem with vandalism in the neighborhood, with graffiti appealing on walls and fences. Draw. Doesn't that mean like drawing picture? To attract attention or interest. Is he wearing a watch on both wrists to draw attention to himself? You can't draw a conclusion without listening to everyone's opinion. Okay. Draw. I think I'm okay with this. Typify. Typify means like to make something so typical. So you can say people, how do I say? Friendly neighbor typifies this town. Something like that. To represent or exemplify the typical qualities or characteristics of a particular group or concept. The cozy cafes and friendly locals typify the charm of this small town. The constant rain and gray skies typify the weather in Seattle during fall and winter. Provided means under some condition. So you can say, you can go to the party provided you finish the homework. Something like that. Conditions. You can go to the party provided that you finish your homework. Good. Okay. Let's finish review time here. And let's move on to chapter 20. Oh, wait. Chapter 16. Okay. Chapter 16 is about society. Let's go first sentence. A society is a group of people living together in an organized manner, generally characterized by sharing the same sense of cooperation, political authority, territory, and cultural norms. I think it's okay. A society is a group of people living together in an organized manner, generally characterized by sharing the same sense of cooperation, political authority, territory, and cultural norms. Norms means standard, right? Noun of the word normal. An accepted standard or a way of behaving or doing things that most people agree with. Yeah. Authority. The moral or legal right or ability to control. Go with the territory. To be part of particular activity. Criticism goes with the territory in politics. Dealing with difficult customers unfortunately goes with the territory in customer service job. Goes to. Okay. Next. Typically, societies are culturally homogeneous, but they often contain within them smaller segments of like-minded individuals that form diverse subcultures or tribes. Typically, societies are culturally homogeneous. Am I pronouncing right? Homogeneous. But they often contain, is it too small? The text. But they often contain within them smaller segments of like-minded individuals that form diverse subcultures and tribes. Okay. Homogeneous is like alike, but more technical. Homogeneous means consisting of parts of people that are similar to each other or are of the same type. We can treat students as one homogeneous mass. They're all different. Our friend group is pretty homogeneous when it comes to music taste. We all love indie rock. Okay. I like this one. Societies are culturally homogeneous, but are often contained within the smaller segments of like-minded. What is like-minded? People who are described as like-minded share the same opinion, ideas, or interest. I know we disagree about some things, but we are generally pretty like-minded. Wait, どういう意味だ? They often contain within them smaller segments of like-minded. Often contain within them smaller segments of like-minded individuals. So because it's a group of like-minded individuals that make culture or that makes society homogeneous, I think. That form diverse. It's homogeneous, but it's individuals, so it form diverse subcultures. Subcultures. So the main culture we share because the society is homogeneous, but we are individuals, so it also form subcultures or tribes. Okay. Next. One example of such a tribe is the Japanese subculture called Harajuku style, which is a youth culture that disregards conventional fashion and is typified by people in bold, inventive, and outrageous clothes. One example of such a tribe is the Japanese subculture called Harajuku style, which is a youth culture that disregards. Disregard means the act of showing no care, ignoring, or paying no attention to something. Please disregard the last message that I sent you. He told us to disregard everything we would learned so far and start again. Disregard. 忘れてたね。あれ? How can I highlight this? Okay. which is a youth culture that disregards conventional fashion. Conventional fashion, like convenience fashion. Conventional. Conventional. What is conventional? Conventional. Traditional and ordinary. It's awesome how Ben challenges conventional wisdom by going his own research. His taste in music is pretty conventional. He likes all the popular songs. Conventional も入れとくか。I want to separate this. Okay. That ignore or that doesn't care about conventional fashion and is typified by people in bold, inventive. Inventive is like someone who has unique ideas, inventional ideas, and outrageous clothes. Outrageous means something that is not something not acceptable. Inventive, very good at thinking of new and original ideas. Unacceptable, morally unacceptable. I just saw this guy outside do an outrageous triple backflip. The price at the restaurant are outrageous. The party was outrageous. We had such a fantastic time. Okay. Next. According to some psychologists, these various subcultures function to help maintain the stable equilibrium of society as a whole and are therefore critical elements of a prosperous. How do I pronounce this?
Prosperous.
Prosperous society. According to some psychologists, these various subcultures function to help maintain the stable. これがわかんないな。I don't even know how to pronounce this word. Equilibrium.
Equilibrium.
Huh?
Equilibrium. Equilibrium.
Equilibrium.
Equilibrium.
Equilibrium. Equilibrium. Equilibrium means a state of balance. Despite the challenges, she managed to keep her emotional equilibrium. Yoga is said to restore one's inner not pronounce this word. Equilibrium. Stable equilibrium of society as a whole and are therefore critical elements of a prosperous society. Prosperous. Prosperous is like to prosper, flourish. Society. Yeah, successful usually by earning a lot of money. How did Japan become so prosperous? Prosperous to prosper でしょ? Prosperous. Wait, prosperous. か。Why is it so slow? Wait to change my keyboard. What's the difference between prosper and prosperous? あれ What's the difference between prosper and prosperous? Prosper is a verb and prosperous is adjective. そっか。Okay, so it's related. Prosperous. Equilibrium. Equilibrium. It's a balance. Balance. とは何が違うの？ Inner balance も言えそう。What's the difference between equilibrium and balance? Both refers to a state of stability or evenness, but they have some differences in usage. Equilibrium, a state where opposing forces are perfectly equal or stable, so there is no movement or change. Okay, summary please. Equilibrium is a stable, unchanging state often used in a scientific or technical context. Balance can mean stability, but often implies an active effort to keep things even or harmonious. Used more widely in everyday context. Stable, unchanging state, or stability itself. こと。Are those interchangeable? Generally not interchangeable because they have distinct meanings and usage. Often refers to a precise, stable state where forces or factors are equal, creating a lasting or unchanging situation. Balance is more versatile and can mean harmony or stability, often implying an active effort. Okay, I kind of got it, I think. Equilibrium. Equilibrium. Equilibrium.
Equilibrium.
Equilibrium. Equilibrium. Equilibrium. So hard. Got it. And homogeneous and disregards. Disregards and discard are different, right? What's the difference between disregard and discard? Both involve a form of neglect or removal, but they have different meanings and uses. To ignore or pay no attention. To get rid of or throw away something. So it's pretty different. Okay. Conventional. Conventional is like traditional or ordinary. Okay. Chapter 16 is done. Let's move on to chapter 17. Chapter 17 is about media studies. Media studies. Okay, first sentence. Oh, I didn't left any note. Media studies refers to the academic discipline that deals with the history, content, and effects of a broader range of mass media. This includes more traditional media such as TV, radio, and newspapers, as well as media that have only existed in recent time, including social media and other web-based media. Okay. I think it's fine. Next. Because of its emphasis on critically evaluating media, media studies is becoming increasingly important in a world where the internet and social media platforms such as Facebook and Twitter have such a strong influence on public opinion. Because of its emphasis is like to make it this strong, how do you say, the particular importance or attention that is given to something, emphasized, shouldn't. There's been real emphasis on space travel over the last few years. In this page, the mayor put strong emphasis on community involvement. Okay. Because of its emphasis on critically is like very important. Critically evaluating media. Evaluate. Evaluate or judge ka. To judge or calculate the quality, importance, amount of value of something. Can't believe they are still using attendance rates to evaluate students. The teacher asked us to evaluate our own performance on the group project. Evaluate. Wait, critically evaluating media. どういう意味? Critically evaluating media. Let's see. メディア批評が重視されるため Because of its emphasis on critically evaluating media. Media studies is becoming increasingly important in a world where the internet and social media platforms such as Facebook and Twitter have such a strong influence on public opinion. Where the internet have such a strong influence on public opinion. Okay. Next. In fact, much of what is portrayed by social media as being genuine or realistic is often selected carefully and extremely edited. In fact, much of what is portrayed is like pictured or like described. Portrait, to represent or describe someone or something in a painting, movie, book, or other artistic work. Portrayed by social media as being genuine or realistic is often selected carefully and extremely edited. Okay? Next. Given how easy... Given is like because. Given how easy it is for media to shape people's views, a degree of skepticism about how media and communication work is a must-have in our modern society. Given how easy it is for media to shape people's views, a degree of skepticism about how media and communication work is a must-have in our modern society. A degree of means to express a certain amount, level, or extent of something. I think you need a large degree of luck to become very successful in business. There is a degree of uncertainty in the outcome. A degree of some amount of skepticism about how media and communication work is a must-have in our modern society. Skepticism はわかるね。Something like to doubt that something is true or useful. Okay. Evaluate. And a degree of. Chapter 18 is about criminal law. Law. It's law. Okay. Due to the demanding consequences of breaching criminal law, breaching is like breaking, or like, breaking law. Violation often results in the imposition of harsh punishment, such as fines, detainment in prison, or juvenile centers. Juvenile is like young, for minor aged people. Juvenile centers, and even capital punishment is like death penalty in some countries. Due to the demanding consequences. これはどういう意味だ? Wait, I don't want to see the note yet. Due to the demanding consequences of breaching criminal law, violation often results in the imposition of harsh punishment, such as fines. Fines is like paying money. Detainment in prison. Detainment is like staying. Imposition means something done that causes inconvenience to another person. The imposition of taxes does not necessarily benefit the country. Would it be too much of an imposition to ask you to pick my parents up from the airport? Asking for a favor at the last minute felt like a bit of imposition, but they were happy to help. Imposition か。Wait. What does this mean? Demanding is an adjective for consequences. Detainment, the condition of being under restraint or in custody. The detainment of the suspect lasted for several hours as the police conducted their investigation. Young person. Okay. Detainment. 刑法に違反すると悪影響がもたらされるため due to the damaging consequences. Consequences like the result of something, right? あれ Wait, can I spell? Consequence. Wait. Consequence or consequence. Why is it so slow today? Let me do this. Oh, 来た。
Consequence.
Consequence でいいのか。
Consequence.
Consequence. A result of a particular action or situation, often one that is bad or not convenient. Due to the damaging consequences of breaching criminal law. 法律を、刑法を破ったことによる良くない影響のため、Violation often results in the imposition of harsh punishment. Imposition. Imposition. Okay. Such as fines, detainment in a prison, or juvenile centers, and even capital punishment in some countries. Okay, next. This is because of the fact that failure to abide by these laws typically leads to the endangerment of people's property, health, safety, and welfare. This is because of the fact that failure to abide, to accept or obey an agreement, decision, or rule, we have to abide by John's rules when we are at his house. Have to obey ってことか。Competitors must abide by the judge's decision. Is this abide or?
Abide.
Abide. This is because of the fact that failure to abide by these laws typically leads to the endangerment. Endangerment is like danger? Too exposed to danger. Of people's property, health, safety, and welfare. Welfare. Help given, especially by the state or an organization, to people who need it, especially because they do not have enough money. Physical and mental health and happiness, especially of a person. Your tax pay for welfare. Welfare is like 福祉か. Welfare. Let me highlight しとこう. So many. This is because of the fact that failure to abide by these laws typically leads to the endangerment of people's property, health, safety, and welfare. So that they do harsh punishment for those who breached criminal law. Got it? Next. Although criminal law is characterized by the severity of its punishment. Severity, punishment in many jurisdictions. So many difficult words. There is a strong focus on permanent rehabilitation with the intention of eventually transforming offenders into valuable members of society. Although criminal law is characterized by the... How do I say this? How do I pronounce this word?
Severity.
Severity. Severity means seriousness. To be honest, I don't think a 3-year sentence is harsh, given the severity of the criminals that she committed. I don't think you quite understand the severity of our financial problems. The severity. これは使いそうだな。Characterized by the severity of its punishment. どういうこと? Characterized by the severity. 刑法の特徴は処罰の厳しさにあるわ。Criminal law is characterized by the severity of its punishment. Criminal law itself. ことか。In many jurisdictions. Jurisdictions means the authority of a court or official organization to make decisions and judgment. 日本語で言うと何なんだろう。貿易? In many jurisdictions, there is a strong focus on permanent rehabilitation, with the intention of eventually transforming offenders into valuable members of society. Okay. Jurisdiction, the authority of a court or official organization to make decisions and judgment. Offenders means criminal. Okay. Next. For example, Norway has been successful in keeping the recidivism rate extremely low by implementing rehabilitation-focused activities such as vocational training, including woodworking and assembly workshops, and accommodating inmates in spacious cells. Ooh. Implement. ありません。vocational. ありません。Accommodating inmates. Inmates is like roommates. A person who is kept in a prison or a hospital for people who are mentally ill. Prisoner ってことなんだ。Inmates. Accommodating inmates in spacious cells. This one. Recidivism. How do I pronounce this one?
Recidivism.
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 Recidivism. Recidivism means the act of continuing to commit crimes even after having been punished. This program is aimed to reducing recidivism. Recidivism rates are 20% lower for offenders who get structured treatment. Okay. Recidivism rate extremely low by implement. Implement means to start using a plan or system. We'll implement this new software next week. Implement. Start using. Start using. Implement. What's the synonyms for implement? Here are some synonyms: execute, enforce, apply, carry out, perform, put into practice, introduce, establish, institute, administer. Implement. By implementing rehabilitation-focused activities such as vocational. Vocational means providing knowledge and skills that prepare you for a particular job. I went to vocational school after high school. Vocational education provides hands-on experience that can be directly applied in the workplace. Vocational training, including woodworking and assembly workshops and accommodating inmates in spacious cells. This is not vocational training though. Okay. Done. Reach. Imposition. Detainment. Abide. Endangerment. Welfare, severity, jurisdictions, recidivism, implementing, vocational. Okay. Chapter 19. Okay. Intellectual property. Intellectual property law exists to encourage innovation and creativity and to protect copyright. what is this? Patents, and trademarks. Intellectual property law. Intellectual means relating to your ability to think and understand things, especially complicated ideas. It's pretty hard to have an intellectual conversation with somebody as stubborn as Warren. This job is very easy and not that bad money-wise, but it's not that intellectual stimulating. Intellectual. Chapter 19 is about intellectual property law. By the way, intellectual is like basically like intelligence. Intellectual と intelligence って一緒か? Is the word intellectual an adjective of the word intelligence? Intellectual is an adjective related to intelligence, but the two words are not exactly the same. Yeah, I know it's not the same. Okay. Property law. 知的財産権のことか。Encourage innovation and creativity and to protect copyright. Stimulating and stimulate. Why there's a word stimulate here? Stimulate? ないよね、そんな。ああ、encourage と stimulate は一緒だからってことか。Is it? ああ、ここで出たからか。This job is very easy, but intellectually stimulating. If something is stimulating, it encourages new ideas. A stimulating discussion. 刺激的な stimulating. Patent. How do I pronounce this? Patent?
Patent.
Patent でいいんだ。
Patent.
A patent in British accent.
Patent.
But this one sounds more like British, and this one
Patent.
sounds like more in American English.
Patent. Patent.
Really? Isn't it?
Patent. Patent.
Patent. Patent. The official legal right to make or sell an invention for a particular number of years. You should apply for a patent if you don't want your idea stolen. The official legal right to make or sell an invention for a particular number of years. 商標特許か。特許。特許。Okay. Yeah. Recently, with the advent of globalization of commerce, the law's fundamental principle that the scope of such rights is limited only to the state that grants them, and therefore that the rights granted by one state are independent of the rights granted by another is being questioned. Oh, it's kind of difficult. Recently, with the advent Advent means the fact of an event happening. Advent calendar のことだよね。The fact of event happening, an invention being made, or a person arriving. Advent. Happening と何が違うの？ What's the difference between happening and an event? あ、違う。Something that occurs or take place. The arrival or beginning of something significant or noteworthy, often marking an important change. The arrival or beginning of something significant. こっちの方がわかりやすいか。うん。Globalization of commerce, the law's fundamental principle that the scope of such rights is limited only to the state that grants them, and therefore, that the rights granted by one state are independent on the rights granted by another being questioned. The law's fundamental principle that the scope of such rights 難しいな。Let's see. Emerge と何が違うんだろう Advent and emerge. What's the difference between emerge and advent? Why can I pronounce emerge だっけ？To come into view, come into existence, or becoming known. Focus on something gradually coming into existence or becoming known. Emphasizes the arrival or beginning of something important, typically in a historical or impactful sense. In many contexts, an event feels more formal and often marks a clear starting point, whereas emerge may refers to a slower, less defined process. Okay. 知的財産権が適用される範囲は権利が付与される国に限定され、The scope of such rights is limited only to the state that grants them. So the power of this law is only limited to the state that grants them. And therefore, that the rights granted by one state are independent. Of the rights. that the rights granted by one state are independent of the rights granted by another. Grants were to give or allow someone something, usually in an official way. To give ってことでね、such is limited only to the state that gives them, and therefore that the rights gave by one state. I want to understand the structure of this word. Can you explain this sentence? The principle here is the rights granted by one state apply only within that state's borders and do not extend to other states. This means that if one state gives someone certain rights, those rights are not automatically recognized by another state. Each state's rights system is considered independent from the others. However, the principle is now being questioned or reconsidered, suggesting that some people or authorities think that the rights granted in one state should have a broader or different influence than they currently do. Such rights is limited only to the state that grants them. And therefore, the rights that is given by one state are independent of なのか from じゃなくて independent of っていいのか rights granted by another. I think I got it. Let's just move on. Some people advocate that this could potentially be solved by the harmonization of law, namely the creation of common international standards to address issues, but others disagree. Advocate. To publicly support or suggest an idea. So some people advocate, agree, that this could potentially be solved by the harmonization of law, namely the creation of common international standards.法律の統一を図る。つまり問題解決に向けた共通の国際基準を設ければ be solved by the harmonization of law, namely は specifically と一緒なんだ。namely the creation of common international standards to address issues. Okay. To deal with a particular problem. Address ってそういう意味もあるんだ。Can you please address these issues as soon as you can? じゃあこれも入れとくか。I haven't haven't remembered all of these. That's kind of sad. But let's move on. Chapter 20. Okay. International law mainly dictates the legal responsibilities of states in their conduct with each other and the treatment of people within their boundaries. International law mainly dictates to give orders to tell someone exactly what they must do with total authority. Mainly dictates the legal responsibilities of states in their conduct. With each other and the treatment of people within their boundaries. むずいな、文章が。国際法は主に国家間の行為や国境内の人々の処遇に対する国家の法的責任を定めたものである。International law mainly dictates the legal responsibilities of state in their conduct with each other and the treatment of people within their boundaries. One of the long-standing problems is international law is the notion is like 概念 idea of state sovereign, which is simply put the idea that all states are equal and one nation cannot dictate the actions of another. How do I pronounce? Oh shit. How do I pronounce this?
Sovereignty.
Sovereignty means the power or authority to rule. State sovereignty, which is simply not the idea that all states are equal. Simply not. Put it easy in simple terms. Simply not も入れとくか。The idea that all states are equal and no nation cannot dictate the actions of another. Because of this underlying concept, something hidden or not immediately obvious, but essential to understanding a situation or problem. I think I'm okay with this word. Because of this underlying concept, no universally accepted authority to enforce international law exists. Countries can therefore choose not to follow international law or even to breach their treaties. Treaty, a written agreement between two or more countries, formally provided and signed by their leaders. Because of this underlying concept, no universally accepted authority to enforce international law exists. Countries can therefore choose not to follow international law or even to breach their treaties. Okay. In addition, international disputes. Disputes is like war or argument can be submitted to the international court or justice only by mutual consent of the parties and can still be what is this? Vetoed if the dispute is in relation to a permanent member of the Security Council. In addition, international disputes can be submitted. It's like, who did it? Africa? Did the Africa submit the disputes of Palestine and Israel? I guess, if I remember. To the International Court of Justice only by mutual consent. Mutual. Feeling the same. これもちょっと入れとこう。mutual. Feeling the same emotion or doing the same thing to or for each other. Of the parties and can still be これがわからない veto
Veto.
veto to refuse to allow something veto can still be vetoed if the dispute is in relation to a permanent member of the Security Council. Hold on. Security Council.「安全保障理事会の常任理事国が紛争当事国である場合は」It's so difficult even it's in Japanese. And can still be vetoed if the dispute is in relation to a permanent member of the Security Council. Permanent member. Okay. Ooh, let's... Okay. That was a tough one. Chapter 19 and 20. But I finished 5 chapters. 20 more chapters to go. Let's do chapter 21 to chapter 25 in the next stream. Okay, let's finish here. Thank you for watching and see you in the next stream. Bye bye.